Hi, I'm Mohamad Mohty. I'm a professor of hematology at the Sorbonne University and the Saint-Antoine Hospital in Paris, in France. I think the year 2020 is a very important and major year in the field of acute GvHD because we have seen this year the publication of the first positive randomized phase 3 trial in a patient with corticosteroid refractory acute GvHD. And this is extremely important because we have been struggling now for several decades and all previous trials attempting to develop or validate a therapy for a patient with steroid refractory acute GvHD failed. So I'm talking here about the REACH2 randomized trial, which was published in the New England Journal of Medicine, but that was also a very important oral presentation at the EHA 2020 virtual meeting. So just a reminder, this is a phase 3 randomized trial, patient in the experimental arm. So all patients are considered as corticosteroid refractory acute GvHD. This is the main inclusion criteria. Patients were randomized either to receive ruxolitinib, this is the experimental arm, 154 patients, or randomized to the best available therapy. And this is a mixed bag of all the different options we routinely use in the clinic. 155 patients in this control arm. Obviously, this was a randomized trial, so the characteristics of the patient demographic, transplant procedures were well balanced between the two arms. Interestingly, when it comes to steroid refractoriness criteria, you have patients who progressed after at least 3 days of treatment. We have also patients who failed to respond after 7 days, but also we had around 1/3 of the patient who failed during steroid taper. Obviously, all kind of conditioning regimens and stem cell sources were included. The primary endpoint was about the overall response rate at day 28. And the good news, you have 62% overall response at day 28 in the ruxolitinib arm versus 39% in the control arm. And this is highly significant. The odd ratio is about 2.6. And interestingly, I'd like to emphasize, we have around 34% of a complete remission in the ruxolitinib arm. And when you look into these responses across the different subgroups, obviously, all subgroups are likely to benefit from this ruxolitinib therapy. By day 26, when you look into the durability of response, actually some patients are going to lose this response, including in the ruxolitinib arm, and we end up around day 56 with 40% of response, including 26-27% of CRs versus 22% in responses in the control arm. And this is still highly significant. And obviously, the probability of loss of response is significantly higher in the control arm with the best available therapy. When it comes to side effects, I would say there was nothing new under the sun because ruxolitinib is already well known, approved in other indications, and we have here a similar safety profile to what you would expect in a population with steroid refractory acute GvHD, and also what you would expect from using ruxolitinib. So in summary, this is really a key turning point, I would say, in the field of acute GvHD, because for the first time, we have a positive trial. As a matter of fact, there are always issues and concerns for the future, and this chapter is not closed because obviously you have patients who cannot receive ruxolitinib. We have patients who are resistant to ruxolitinib, and this is where we need to continue the research and the investigation in order to develop novel therapies for this highly unmet need. And this is really a crucial field because we know very well that acute GvHD is a major limitation of allogeneic stem cell transplantation. But at the same time, allogeneic stem cell transplantation is the only curative therapy for many hematologic diseases. But I think the REACH2 trial results are really the first step in the right direction in the field of acute GvHD.